Hi, and welcome to our broadcast. I'm here with Steve Weinstein. I'm Gavin Wolpert, and we're here because Steve won the Blue Ribbon Pairs this fall in Phoenix. And after a lot of our members wanted to see another Road to Victory series, we managed to convince Steve to do a condensed Weinstein version of just starting with the last round. So we're going to talk to Steve a little bit about his experience in the Blue Ribbons and do a two-part series of the two boards in the last round. And welcome, Steve, and congrats for winning the Blues.
Thanks, Gavin. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to do the last round. Doing the whole event or the whole finals would be a little bit much for an old guy like me.
Yeah, it certainly is a lot of work. And so you're playing with Augustin Madala, and we had a fun conversation before saying let's just spend this entire video calling him Madala because neither one of us can pronounce his first name.
It's true. It's like I always call him Madala, and Liz actually says, "Why don't you call him by his first name?" And she's used to me from poker calling people like Bushman and Mr. Smokey or Boyke, and I'm like, well, I'd like to say it's just because I like to say Madala, but I really don't know how to say his first name, so I've just been used to calling him Madala.
Right. So I've grown up with Madala as a junior, and he grew up in South America, and he eventually moved to play on the Italian Open team and just won the Bermuda Bowl. And so, how did you arrange to decide to play with him?
We had talked about a while ago playing some pair event when we were both available, because I've been playing with many different partners since Bobby often plays professionally in pair games, and we haven't played a national pair event together in quite a long time. And Madala was definitely someone I wanted to play with, and he had said that he would like to play with me, so we worked out like a year ago that we could play the Blue Ribbons together, and we set it up and we played.
Cool. So can you tell us a little about what system? Was there like a system gap between you because you're from North America and he's not?
There really wasn't. I mean, he's very well versed in system, and he remembers system very well. Obviously I insisted we play Flannery. He didn't cry too much about that. And, I had some basic notes that I had played with, like, Kevin Bathurst, some other people, and we took those and went over them a little bit before the first session, and then we added to them. But we struggled the first couple days with misunderstandings, but not huge not so many that it would take us out of the event, but more than you'd like to have. But I'd say overall we were on the same page.
And just for a quick summary of what system were you playing?
We played 2-over-1 game force, 5-card majors.
Just like expert standard.
Most doubles were takeout, except for when they weren't. We decided to play a lot of either-or doubles and just kind of gamble that we would work out in match points, whether it was penalties or takeout. And our carding, we played. I'm so used to upside-down attitude standard count that he was willing to play that with me. I also usually play suit preference trick one with Bobby, but I didn't even try to ask him to do that because he's a very natural card player, and I think it would be unnatural for him to play a suit preference card at trick one.
Yeah, I know that the time that you had me play suit preference at trick one, it made me think I knew nothing about the game because every card I was thinking about playing, I was scared. Is this 6 going to be encouraging or 7?
Yeah, exactly.
It really overcomplicates it. I'm sure it's good, but man, is it?
Yeah, it takes a different form, and it's different thinking and mechanics. But once we realized that when we discussed Jacoby Tuno, and there's so many variations of it, and there's so many good ways to play it, but we decided we're just going to play. We bid shortness. We're not showing minimums or maximums. We realized that the theme was going to be let's just try to avoid misunderstandings and not have advanced discussion about a lot of system.
Yeah, that seems to be good enough for playing in a pair game in a big field. I'm definitely a big believer that playing a similar system to everybody else in the room is a very good thing. You get to play a lot of similar spots. You get to come to a lot of decision points where you can do the normal thing or the better than normal thing if you have enough information, and I find that to be a very comfortable place to be when playing in pair games.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think if you're one of the favorites in the event, you really want to try to be duplicating contracts, and your edge should come out in the card play. And if not, if you're not one of the favorites, you really want to be mixing it up more in the bidding.
Right. All right, so let's go through board number 1 here. So we're about to be in the last round. So what was your game like before we actually get to board 1? Let's talk about where you're standing in the event. This is day 3. Where did you qualify going into day 3?
We were in 6th place going into day 3, and we had played a part score, or a slam and a part score, and a game and a 4-2 fit, and we had a couple disasters on day 2. So before day 3, we really ironed out a couple understandings, and we didn't have any disasters like that. So the fact that we were in 6 with those disasters meant that we were playing pretty well and in pretty good luck.
And so you went into the day 6, and how was your afternoon game?
We played really, really well in the afternoon, and we were dealt a pretty poor game, relatively. There's some hand like Peter Frieden, when his partner opened a dime and jumped to 3-0 with 4-4 in the majors and just killed us when they had a 4-4 hard fit. There was a hand they played a 4-3 spade fit, which we could have gotten a great board on, but I didn't realize the guy had been a 3-card spade suit at the 3 level when his partner had made a negative double, or that my partner had raised what was my likely 5-card suit with a doubleton. So we could have gotten a top, but instead we got a 0. And the rest was okay, so I think we were around 54% in the afternoon, which was a disappointing score, but we had great carryover.
So you weren't going into the final session in the top 10. You were a little bit lower going into the session.
Right, we were a little bit lower, but I usually don't look at what place I'm in, more how far behind I am the leaders, and we were about a board and a half behind the leaders, so that really didn't feel like that was that much. That's 6%. So if you put up a 65% game and they have a 59, you're right there. You put up a 60, they still have to put up a 54. So I think it's much more important to look how far behind you are in terms of percentage or boards compared to actually what place you are. I mean, if you have to pass 50 pairs, that's a whole other story, but in general, if you're less than 2 boards behind, you're pretty much in contention.
Okay, and so how about your evening game? You're playing East-West, moving along in the room, and how's it feeling going into this round?
Well, we're having a great game. I mean, it got off to a good start where I against Berkowitz and Sontag, where I made an aggressive takeout double, and we were doubled in 1-0. We were doubled in 2 clubs. We finally scrambled into their original suit of 2 diamonds and went for 100 when the field was making 120. And it just seemed like we were getting nothing but average, above average, or good boards. And every time we had a board that was about 30%, we would just get a top on the very next board. So we were having what felt like a tremendous game at this point.
So you're feeling like you're leading going into the last round, and is that or you're right there in it anyway?
Yeah, I mean, usually what I think, like, if anybody ever asks me, I usually say I think we're either first or second right now, because that means I usually think I'm leading. So mentally, I think first or second, but I really thought we were leading.
And regardless, when you're coming out from the last round to go look at the burner, there's nothing better than having a great last round, and there's nothing worse than having people come up to you and ask you how you did, knowing you're right up in there in the event, and you know that if you say you had a great round that you're going to win, and if you say you have a bad round, then somebody could pass you. And so you really want to sit down and focus for this last round. Not that it's different than any other round, really, but you really want to have a good last round in these pair games.
You make a really great point, because it's just the one thing you want to hear is when you think you're winning, how was your last round? And the one thing you want to be able to answer, great or good. Or if you say terrible and you're not going to win, it's very, very depressing. And just as a point on the last round in general, not only when you're playing for the event, but even when you're just playing a regular session, I think psychologically the last round, or if they put up the burners after 11 rounds, counts double, because they show your percentage, and if you have a bad last round, you can drop from like 60 to 54, or you can go from 50 to 56 when you have a really good last round. Like, the percentages of the last couple rounds make such a huge difference based on what it was on your after 11s and your final score. So I mentally always think the last round counts double.
It's funny. I mean, I guess it's a good way to focus a little more, but it's hard not to focus when you're in the event. You're going to the last round. You're there. You're ready to play. It doesn't take a lot of revving up to get you going for the round anyway.
Right. It's true. You just want to maintain your focus and not do anything dumb and try to do something good.
Cool. So let's talk about the first board here. It started with pass and your partner opened a diamond and it went takeout double. You made a routine redouble, and now North bid a spade and your partner bid 2 diamonds. Now your partner could have passed 1 spade knowing you were going to bid again. So what does it mean when he bids 2 diamonds rather than passing? Does it show a better or worse hand?
Yeah, it shows a worse hand. When you bid and rebid after your partner redoubles, you're basically saying I have a minimum opener with a long suit. I mean, you could have a good suit, and hopefully you do have a good suit, but you really have a very high offense to defense ratio, and that's what everybody listening should realize, is that when you open the bidding, your partner redoubles and you rebid, you do not want to have a defensive hand. You want to have an offensive hand. And two diamonds is a non-forcing bid, so you usually have a minimum.
Right, so you're looking at just some six-card, like really good six-card diamond suit, or a non-defensive hand either way, a distributional hand that doesn't look like it wants to be on defense. Not a lot of defensive tricks.
Right, you can't game force, you don't have a lot of defense, you usually have a good suit.
Right. So now, with your 12 count, were you thinking about inviting over two diamonds, or were you just planning on going to game? Or did you consider inviting?
I didn't even consider inviting. I mean, if partner has like ace queen jack six of diamonds, the king of diamonds could be onside, or ace king jack six of diamonds, then diamonds could be 3-1 with the takeout double. I certainly think the field is bidding game with my hand, and there's no chance I'm not getting the game.
Okay, so now once you're going to game, I see you chose two spades versus just jumping to 3-0 trump, and talk a little bit about how two spades might gain over just jumping to 3-0.
Well, two spades, sets a game force, and I really was hoping that my partner with a protected queen of spades, like queen x of spades, or possibly even queen third, but I was thinking queen x, he might bid 2-0, and just on my experience with Madala, I think he would have bid 2-0 if he had queen x of spades, even though two spades being the only Q bid doesn't guarantee a spade stopper. From seeing him bid for almost all of 6 sessions, I was pretty sure he would have bid 2-0 with queen of 1. So I felt like I would try to go for the home run of getting no trump played from his side.
Okay, so it didn't work out as planned, but so North bid 3 clubs, and South made a preference back to spades, and so now you bid the inevitable 3-0 trump. So,
yeah, well, it is inevitable. It was very tempting to double my hand. The shapes, partner over 3 clubs pass, so he doesn't have a 7th diamond, very likely. And it looks like they're in a 4-4 spade fit. If North has 5 clubs and South has 3, my partner has a stiff club to lead. There's a pretty good chance we're getting 500 against 3 spades double, but I also feel like the field is absolutely in 3-0 with my hand, and I have a lot of information on the bidding, and I think I'm leading the event. So rather than go for what seems like a pretty good spot to go for a top, I decided to try to go for average to average plus by hoping to be able to out-declare people in 3-0 trump.
Right, and he might have doubled, perhaps with a singleton club. He might have doubled 3 spades himself.
Well, he didn't get a chance to, and I couldn't really pass 3 spades around to him, even though it would be forcing, because I'm looking at stoppers in both clubs and spades, and it's very likely he's not looking at stoppers in either one of them. If 3 spades was bid by North, now with a stiff club, there's a great chance he would have doubled.
Right, obviously. Yeah.
But it timed out poorly where I couldn't pass and bid 3-0, so I had to just bite the bullet and bid 3-0.
Right. Okay, so they led excuse me, sorry. They led the 8 of spades, and dummy came down with kind of a hand you're expecting, long good diamonds, solid diamonds, and a hand that perhaps maybe some of the field may not have opened, but I would think that it's pretty standard to open. I mean, it's clearly a normal, good opening bid, but I'm just thinking in a match point field, perhaps people might do something different. They might open, 3 diamonds, 2 diamonds, 1 diamond, but it's a very normal 1 diamond open.
Yeah, I think 1 diamond with a six likely tricks is pretty automatic, but in second seat where people are pretty stodgy with their preempts, if the ones that have 2 diamonds available as a weak 2 might make the bid, although I don't like it, and I really hate it since I play Flannery, and they would show 4 spades and 5 hearts. I think it would be a horrible bid with this hand.
Okay. So, sorry, I was so busy looking at the trick and thinking, yeah, I'm guessing Flannery might not be the right bid. So
that was my fault. I should laugh when I'm making a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Try to be less serious. You got to keep me paying attention.
Sorry.
So North led the 8 of spades, looking like second from a bad holding. It could be ace queen 10-8. But so tell us about what were you thinking about at trick 1, and yeah, what were your worries about this hand, and take us through the play.
But certainly at trick 1, you want to spend a lot of time thinking about what the distributions are, what you want to do at trick 1, what your later plans want to be. So very typically when you have Jack X opposite King third, you're going to fly Jack on the lead in case the opening leader has the ace queen and they have the entries. In this case, South made the takeout double, so you certainly know that not only is North very unlikely to have the ace queen of spades, it's almost impossible, but it's South would clearly have the entry in with the ace of hearts, so it would never help you. So it doesn't help you to fly the jack of spades. So the key that I'm really trying to think about here is I don't want them to win the spade and shift to a club. That is the only way they can beat me, because I'm pretty sure spades are 4-4 since South went back to 3 spades after partner had introduced clubs. So I felt like if I played the 6 of spades, South would know his partner had 4-card spade suit because he'd be missing the 10 and the 9 and the king. So if partner had 9-8 fifth, or I'm sorry, if I played the 6 of spades, if partner had the 10 and the 9 of spades, South's partner would have led the 10 of spades. So the only way to try to create any kind of illusion at all is to play the 9 of spades and hope South plays North for 10-8 fifth, because I really want a spade continuation.
Right, and what the risk is that they'll win the ace of spades, they'll shift to a club, which it doesn't really matter what you do. If you win the ace, you're now setting up 3 club tricks for them, or if you duck it, they can now win that trick for their second winner and move back to setting up their spades before you can knock out the ace of hearts.
Right. So it was the only hope I had was it goes ace of spades and a spade, because if South wins and shifts to a low club, I can't win it. If I win it, I don't have enough tricks, and if I duck it, they can go back to spades. So right. I really needed a spade continuation.
So by the same logic, now when they do return a spade, you really can't afford to duck it. So they play back the queen of spades, and you won it right away for that same reason, because if you duck, now that gives them another chance to make that killer play.
Right.
So so now there's not really much left to this hand. You're going to hope that spades are 4-4. You played a diamond up and played a heart, and that was it. They won it and cashed their spades. And so like you said, you felt like it's a pretty run-of-the-mill one diamond opener, and you didn't consider inviting. So it seemed like plus 400 on this board was kind of an inevitable result for you. But how do you feel that? What would you think that would score, getting plus 400 on this board?
It felt pretty good. I mean, we got to game when some people aren't going to open at the one level with Madala's hand. Some people aren't going to game force in my hand, even though most will. And I got a favorable opening lead and a favorable defense. So I would have guessed it was like a 75% to 80% board.
And what was it eventually?
I think it was pretty good. Let me check that. I could actually get you that information. It was.
That was my revenge, catching you off guard. How do you not know how many match points?
You did catch me off guard. It was a 28.5 on a 38 top.
All right, so you're spot on. And so cool. Thanks. We will be back soon with the second half of this video and of this round. Steve's very long road to victory.
It was like a short drive to victory.